I'm Ryan McCaffrey with IGN. Welcome to IGN Unfiltered, our monthly interview series where we sit down with the best, brightest, most interesting minds in the games industry. And this month, a little something different, a two-parter. Phil Harrison, longtime video game industry executive. You may have seen my other video with him where he talks about his whole career up until he gets to Google and works on Stadia. He was a longtime PlayStation executive in the PS1 up through PS3 days, and he also spent some time at Xbox over at Microsoft. So very interesting chat there. Check that out. But for now, enjoy this part of the conversation where he talks about all things Google Stadia and the future of cloud gaming. So now you find yourself at Google. You've been there about 2 years.
Yep.
And by the time this airs, Stadia is launching. It is going to be heading into the market. So how has the ramp up to this been compared to a traditional console launch from your perspective?
It's fundamentally different in so many ways and very familiar and similar in others. So obviously we're building a cloud-based streaming platform that takes a AAA game from our data center to any screen in your life. So that fundamental promise is there. Last night, the reason I'm a bit bleary-eyed, I'm sat at home playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider in 4K, 60 frames per second, sat on my couch with no console.
Nice. On now, what device are you sitting there? What's your preference? Do you do a tablet? Do you do a phone?
I was playing on my TV.
TV. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're just blasting it to the
Yeah,
TV.
playing on my TV.
Nice.
And it's perfect. I mean, it was just the most fantastic experience. I got to the point, I haven't played the game before. It's the first time I've actually had a chance to play it. I don't know if you've played it. But...
I mean, I've played Tomb Raider on the console, not on Stadia.
Okay,
I actually haven't had a chance to try Stadia yet myself, so I'm eager to do so.
We should address that.
I think I'm talking to the right person.
Yeah.
I might be able to hook that up.
So I know a guy, as the expression goes. But there are different ways to reach different devices. So Chromecast is what you use on your TV, and it streams at 4K up to 60 frames per second. Chrome browser on your PC, desktop, laptop. And then Pixel 3 and Pixel 4 phones initially. Will expand that later.
With Stadia, seriously, I'm the thing about Stadia that I've found in my position as a games media person is I feel like, and I'm curious what you think here, is educating customers one of your biggest challenges? Sort of explaining exactly what this is because it's not a physical thing. Is education a big thing for you?
I think the most important thing is to try it for yourself. When we're done here, I'll go show you what it is. I have a controller in my bag, and I have every game on Stadia in my bag because it's on the cloud.
In the cloud, yeah.
Exactly. And so I think there is a completely understandable skepticism from players who have not seen it, who have not had the chance to play it.
Yeah.
But once you get to see it and once you get to play it, you realize that this is a very strong direction of travel for the future of the industry.
Where is the weirdest place that you have experimented with Stadia that you've played so far? Bus stop, train station, middle of the country, on a farm? I'm curious.
Actually, yeah, good question. I did go up last year during the Project Stream test. So Project Stream was our pre-launch trial that we ran in partnership with Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh, yeah.
And so we launched that in actually about a year ago today. It's kind of October time. And a weekend or so afterwards, I was up in Yosemite. In a lodge which had very rudimentary Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I'll give this a try. I'll just see if it
a
works.
little testing, user testing, yeah.
Worked perfectly, flawlessly.
Nice.
And I was a long way from anywhere. It was even just keeping the lights on was a challenge. And so I think that access to the internet is obviously rising everywhere. 80% of US homes now have access to gigabit Ethernet. In the UK, internet speeds have increased by 25% a year for each of the last 3 years. So there's a very, very rapid increase in internet reach and performance, which will lift this.
Do you anticipate most users are going to play this at home as sort of a console-like experience on a television, or do you think it's going to be more of a mobile experience?
Initially, it's going to be in the home, or where you have access to a Wi-Fi or stronger internet signal that would come over from an ISP. But 5G is not that far away, and so 5G,
I wanted to ask you about that.
5G will be a future unlock, but right now we are a Wi-Fi and more traditional ISP-driven experience.
Because it's funny, when I think about Stadia, that's actually what I think about is a mobile usage.
Right.
I think it's because I associate the home with, well, I'm going to play my console.
Right.
There. So I guess, how do you convince somebody that's got a console to use this in their home?
I think there are two things that we believe strongly will be exciting for gamers. One is the quality of the experience. The power that we are putting into the data center to power the games dwarfs any console that is available today. Substantially greater than the vast majority of PCs, maybe bar the absolute top water-cooled type PCs. So fundamentally, we are delivering a richness of CPU, GPU, and experience that just cannot be done realistically at a mass market today.
Yeah.
And you, as the gamer, get to choose where you have that experience. The same game, the same experience moves seamlessly from your TV to your PC to your laptop to your phone and anywhere in between. And so that modality of being able to say, well, actually, I'm going to complete this game somewhere else in the home, or my family wants to use the big screen TV and I can carry on playing without interruption, is a real transformation for the way that games are played. Plus, because the game is now using a data center to power it, the amount of tools and technology that are available to the game creator really breaks the mold.
So the Stadia controller, which again I haven't experienced yet, but
wait one there, I'll get it for you.
All right, the Stadia controller, which I magically now have here. We had a feature on this earlier this month as part of our IGN First coverage package on Google Stadia, and you can see what went into the making of this. It feels good. It almost feels kind of like a little bit of a hybrid almost of a DualShock and an Xbox controller, kind of little elements of both, maybe even a little Nintendo thrown in there, like kind of a nice mix of the three. How many iterations did this go through?
About 100.
I believe it.
From the original first idea, and Jason, who is the designer, who deserves all the credit for a really beautiful design, he started watching people play games by observing how the fact that people don't always hold the controller the same way. Once you get that insight and watch other people play games, you will realize that actually that's true. That depending on the size of your hand, the kind of game
how do you hold the controller?
Well, fundamentally like this, but the way you put your fingers on the buttons
that's fair.
can change. Some people use the pads of their fingers, some people use the
that's
middle
true.
of their finger.
Right.
There's a lot of different ways.
It's funny, I never really thought about it.
So that's why we have smart designers like Jason thinking about this. And he got inspired by the way that chefs in professional kitchens use knives.
Oh.
And there's a video which we launched, which I would recommend you and your viewers take a look at, which shows the thinking of this, which is the idea of a professional chef's knife has a very simple handle, which allows the chef to hold the knife in a number of different iterations. The kind of knives that you and I buy in the supermarket have a grip that forces you to hold it in one way.
Yeah.
And so he was inspired by the professional knife being able to be changed in shape. And what he actually did for the first design was to bend a chef's knife and then create the mold and create the idea of something that was rounded and then iterated and iterated and iterated, and then this was born.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Let's pretend this doesn't exist, because like a year ago it didn't probably.
Actually, it did.
All right, well,
Near
2
enough.
years ago.
2 years ago.
If you're DualShock or Xbox controller, if this didn't exist and you needed a Bluetooth controller to get on Stadia with, what are you reaching for?
Neither. And the reason it's neither is because we built Wi-Fi into the controller so that this is the computer that is actually communicating
that's going right
direct.
to the cloud, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's cool.
And that is a significant innovation. It allows us to build the assistant into it, the Google Assistant into it. It allows us to have a very sophisticated capture capability. We have some really great plans for the future as to how we will expand that. We have a microphone built into it.
Nice.
You know, there's a number of things that we decided as first principles we would do differently. Actually, much of which predates me joining the team.
Fantastic. My final question for you, Phil Harrison, is this. What do you hope that people take away from Stadia? What is your ultimate goal with it?
That we have a game platform for everyone. That it's a game platform that does not require the purchase of a multi-$100 console or potentially $1,000 plus PC to enjoy the latest, greatest games, and that you can enjoy those amazing game experiences on any screen in your life, just at the click of a button. That you can discover your favorite games through your favorite YouTubers or through your friends. A game ultimately is just a link, and that can then be shared seamlessly through whatever mechanism you choose. And that the games on Stadia will deliver an experience that will make people smile. And that's what I ultimately focus on, is delivering a great experience for gamers.
All right, Phil, so we've talked about the service, we've talked about this controller. Tell me a little bit about the games that are available now and on the way soon. We've got some sort of third-party AAA titles, but then some original content coming as well.
Exactly. So, as you know, we formed Stadia Games and Entertainment, which is our first-party game studio headed by Jade Raymond. She's announced her first studio in Montreal, but more to come. And we have over 40 games have now been announced for our launch window, which is between now and the early part of the new year. And some of the biggest game publishers on the planet are announced with games. Over 20 publishers now have announced titles on Stadia. We're giving every player who signs up and is buying our Founders Edition and our Premier Edition 3 months of Stadia Pro, which is our subscription, and included in that is the full Destiny 2 Shadowkeep experience,
Nice.
which is absolutely phenomenal at 4K 60 frames per second. They've done a great job with that. And I think for me, what I'm excited about is that we've got some of the most demanding games in every category. You know, we've got Mortal Kombat 11, a highly competitive fighting game.
Yeah, very low latency, Twitch input.
Right.
Like, you got to be precise there.
Correct. We've got shooters in the form of Borderlands and obviously Destiny. We have sports with NBA 2K20, and they have done an amazing job with that. Just the production. There are times when you turn your head and you're like, am I watching basketball or am I watching a game?
I know that game's crazy.
They've done a phenomenal
their
job with that.
animations.
And we have racing and some puzzle games and every genre covered. And then some big hitters coming in 2020 with Cyberpunk 2077, Watch Dogs from Ubisoft, and Doom Eternal from Bethesda.
And then the Tequila Works was one of your original games. Guilt, is that the name of it?
That's correct, yeah.
I love their stuff. That game looks visually looks great, and like the premise of it seems super cool too.
It is, and that's one of the things that I was excited about with Stadia, was the chance to get back to that wave of innovation that we saw 20 odd years ago with smaller games as well as the big AAA games, given space and given an opportunity to be discovered by players. And so that's what I'm so excited about.
Fantastic. And then Orcs Must Die coming up too, all kinds of
Thank you
fun
for
stuff.
remembering all the games.
I do my homework as best I can on this show. But Phil, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
This was a real pleasure. Phil Harrison, the Vice President and General Manager of Google Stadia. He's a big deal at Google, and he has taken the time out of his life to come on down here while he's trying to launch a platform. So thanks for making the time, Phil. For more from the best, brightest, and most interesting minds in the games industry, I've got a new episode of IGN Unfiltered for you every month. Check it out on IGN, on YouTube, or on your favorite podcast service as well.